Um, let's talk about Gaza for a bit. What time is it? We have okay. We have a few minutes. Um, Netanyahu, war criminal that he is effectively going with this idea of trying to take the entirety of Gaza. Now, New Zealand, Australia, some of these other European states have come around out of political expedience because of their populations to putting out message saying, hey, we believe in a shiny object. We believe in it. So get off our backs. That shiny object being a two-state solution. Now, I guess my question to you is, A, does it matter? Meaning, even if, who was I having a conversation with? And they made the point, it was Alex Craner. And Craner made the point of saying, Israel is toast. And I said, it doesn't look like it's toast. And he says, yeah, but, all things being equal, I don't think Trump loves Israel. And it's like, well, Trump doesn't need to love Israel. Like, meaning, I don't need you to love something if I can compel your behavior. Like, you could be, if I can have you as my willing servant, you can hate my guts as long as you're my willing servant. And it's kind of that. And it's like, even if they have to pay $100 million in order to compel behavior, they're still compelling behavior. So does it matter? And that's a weird way to put the question, but the fact that it's become clear that the overwhelming sentiment of the world is that these people are genocidal monsters. They're bloodthirsty animals. Does that matter in the context of behavior? The fact that you're able to get a world leader to say, okay, we believe in a two-state solution, Israel's committing a genocide. Is that important?
No, it means nothing. It's absolutely meaningless, okay? You have, where is this Palestinian state going to be? Okay, it's supposed to be along the 1967 borders. That's the overwhelming international consensus, which basically means the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. The West Bank has 800,000 crazed lunatic settlers in it, who are heavily armed, who are fanatical, who are carrying out pogroms on a daily basis with the support of the Israeli military. They've basically depopulated the largest refugee camp in the West Bank, Jenin, and they're in the process of doing that to Qadim, which I think is the second largest refugee camp. Many of the people living in small villages in the West Bank have been dispossessed within the last several months. Smotrich just announced, I think, a 3,000 unit settlement expansion. And before that, right after, literally days after, seven Western countries threatened Israel with sanctions if it didn't stop expanding settlements, they announced the biggest settlement expansion since 1967, since the occupation began. Okay, so forget about the West Bank. How are you going to get those settlers out of there? How are you going to actually enable the Palestinians to have control of this territory and to live in peace? If you tried to remove them, there would be a civil war. You would have to use violence, and it would be bloody. No question about it. Who has evinced the slightest interest in carrying out that task? Certainly Israel isn't going to do it. Are the Western governments going to do it? Are they going to remove those settlers? How are you going to get them out of there? Forget about it. Look at the condition in Gaza. Gaza has been completely and utterly demolished. There are unexploded ammunition all over the place. There are contaminants. There are people suffering from preventable disease on a mass scale. So we're going to build a Palestinian state on the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Are you damn well kidding me? I mean, like, what kind of a fool believes this crap anymore? It's total crap. Okay, this is nothing but a distraction. It doesn't actually deter Israel from doing anything. After, these countries came out and said, maybe at some point in the near future, we'll recognize Palestine. Yeah. None of them, I believe, have actually done it, right? France hasn't actually done it. Canada hasn't actually done it. The UK hasn't actually done it. They're talking about doing it soon and on conditions. But let's suppose they do it. Does anybody seriously think this is going to stop the genocide? That this is going to deter Israel from continuing to expand settlements, from committing every manner of atrocity? This is all kabuki theater. That's all this is. The Western governments are feeling the heat, which is the good news, Jamal. They're feeling the heat. Okay, you look at public opinion polls. Israel's standing has been destroyed in the West, and this will ultimately have consequences for the political elites who support them and for Israel itself. But right now, they are just trying to look like they're doing something without actually doing something. And that's what this two-state solution nonsense is all about. That is dead as a doornail. There is only one solution to this problem now. It is a single state in which all people have equal rights, regardless of their religion or their ethnicity.
That's going to be a complicated single state. That's going to be a complicated single state.
It will indeed. And I think that ultimately that single state is going to have the name of Palestine, because what's going to happen is this exodus of people, Jewish Israelis who have other options in life, will accelerate. And you're going to end up at the end of the day with a population of, it's going to be overwhelmingly Palestinians. And they're going to be driving the bus. And the people who remain, I think there will be a Jewish population in this one state. It will eventually happen. I truly believe that. But these are going to be the few people amongst the Jewish Israeli population who are willing to respect Palestinians. There are some, not many, who are willing to respect Palestinians as equal citizens. And I think that that's what the country will actually look like in the long run. The problem, of course, is that in the interim, Israel can and will kill a lot of people. That's the horrifying thing about this.
There's also New Israel, Cyprus.
Right. Yes. And I'll be going there very shortly, as a matter of fact.
Will you? Oh, you got to let me know what that's like. That's like.
I'm getting joined by.
Like, oh my God, they're trying to take over.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like, okay, so when you were watching them do that in Palestine, you didn't have any issue, but now they're moved over here. You're screaming. I guess you can see what they did in one location. It's like you don't want them to come over to the other location.
I'll tell you a little story just quickly. When I came back to Greece, where I am now, a couple of weeks ago, I checked into a hotel in Athens. I've been there many times.
Yeah.
And I'm standing at the desk checking in, and there are two Israelis standing beside me. And I know because they're speaking, to each other in Hebrew, and they've got a thick Israeli accent. And one of them pulls out a big wad of cash, tells the guy behind the desk, "Oh, we want to pay for everything in cash," whatever. So I check in, I put my bags in. I'm coming out of the hotel to go get lunch. And as I'm exiting the hotel, another Israeli walks by with his suitcase, and he's on his cell phone. And I know he's Israeli because he's speaking in Hebrew with an Israeli accent on his cell phone. So in the space of 15 minutes within returning to Athens, I had two encounters in central Athens with Israelis. They're all over the place here. You can see them all over southern Greece, all over Cyprus. They're fleeing the country in droves. And ultimately, I think that's going to be the thing that brings this genocidal entity to a merciful end.
They're taking over. They're taking over. You better tell the Greek government, like, hey, better put in some immigration restrictions.
Yeah.
You saw what they did in Palestine. I want to talk about Lebanon before we close also. What is happening in Lebanon is sickening and fascinating simultaneously. And maybe I should be fascinated by it and more sickened by it, but I guess I'm equal parts of both. Part of the fascination is just because my government works different. And the way that Lebanon is put together is very strange to me, with this kind of sectarian thing. America is just not built that way. We were an apartheid state at one point, and it's considered me caring about your religion, me caring about your race, me caring about your whatever, it's considered impolite. Whereas the sectarian stuff is pretty heavy in the Middle East. And so it's a little bit strange, especially to organize a government around the sectarian divisions. And then you have a government that is so passive for whatever particular reason that they don't fire a shot in anger at the people who are bombing them, and they don't fire a shot in anger at invaders, but they're actually considering passing or trying to, and I'm going to say trying to because everybody I've talked to say there's no way this is going to fly. The government will collapse before this is allowed, to effectively disarm the only resistance force that is willing to fire a shot in anger to defend Lebanon. That is wild to me. But that seems to be what is taking place. And it's being done in this kind of very shameless, open, obvious way that it's foreign invaders, the United States and Israel, that is effectively backing this particular policy, knowing that this is going to either create a civil war, a collapse of the government, or some level of chaos in the government itself with the idea of destroying Lebanon. Give me your take on that. Do you think I'm getting that right? Am I getting this wrong? Am I missing something in this?
I totally agree that there's no prospect of Hezbollah voluntarily disarming, and that if the Lebanese army tries to force it to disarm, there will be a civil war. I personally don't believe that the Lebanese army will actually try to do that, because I don't think they have any stomach for a fight with Hezbollah.
Yeah.
And exactly where they're going to find themselves. I thought my best guess, Jamal, is that the Lebanese government, which is extraordinarily weak, it's buying time. It is telling the Americans and the Israelis what they want to hear. If they came out and said, nope, we're not going to disarm Hezbollah, there would be another invasion for sure. And all the horror that would implicate. So they're trying to buy time. They don't have any other strategy. They're just telling the Americans and the Israelis, some point down the road, we're going to disarm Hezbollah. But I don't think any rational observer thinks they're actually going to succeed. And I personally don't think they're even going to really try. A lot of the people who serve in the Lebanese army are Shia Muslims,
right,
who probably have some level of sympathy for Hezbollah. And whether or not they're sympathetic to Hezbollah, are they going to want to kill their fellow Shia Muslims? I don't think so. So. Yeah, there's some crazies in Lebanon, like the Phalangists. They're probably, spoiling for a fight with Hezbollah if they have the Americans and the Israelis on their side. But they constitute a very small proportion of the population. So I think what's going on here is they're buying for time, and ultimately they will not disarm Hezbollah. And eventually there is going to be another invasion by Israel, if it doesn't collapse before then, which is a possibility, especially if they attack Iran. If they attack Iran, I understand, I haven't had an opportunity to read it, but I've heard others commenting on it. The Trita Parsi has published an article, a very astute observer about Iranian affairs and its relations with the West, in which he argues that another attack, again, I'm going on what I've heard from others, so I haven't actually read the article, that another attack on Iran from Israel and the United States is relatively imminent.
I need to get some more coffee. My audience is going to laugh at that. You may not know why. So when the attacks were taking place before, when the videos were coming out of Israel getting pummeled, just getting completely pummeled, I will sit here, drink my coffee, and I'll say, this is some damn good coffee, as I watch. It's almost like having popcorn. I don't want that attack to take place, but I'm conflicted. I feel I don't want to accept this part of me that is okay with one person getting attacked, so that person can get decimated, meaning the attacker can get decimated. Like, all right, that stove is hot. You're going to touch that stove. You touched it once before. It was hot. I told you it was hot. You didn't believe me. You know it's hot, and you're about to touch it again. Have at it. I don't like that, even though I want Israel to get pummeled, because I feel like it's an issue of justice, and nobody else is putting that justice out. It also feels weird as me, an American, saying it, considering it's my government that's effectively doing it. Because I know that the way Iran fights wars and the way Israel fights wars are very different. Iran tries to fight a moral war, which I'm like, dude, are you serious right now? But that makes me bloodthirsty, right? But they're like, no, we don't want to kill civilians. There are no civilians. All of these people are lunatics. If they want to touch the stove, they can touch the stove. I would imagine Iran at this point is on some level more prepared for it.
I struggle exactly with the same thing, Jamal. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're not interrupting me. I'm sorry.
You and I had a discussion when the 12-day war was happening, and I remember we started the discussion by commenting about how there was a new spring in our step. because we finally felt that the genocidal satanic entity was getting its comeuppance. And so,
right,
this is. I know you don't want war. I know you don't want to see innocent suffer. I have no doubt about that. And nobody who's listening to our discussion should have any doubt about that when it comes to you or me. We don't want this. But how can you not want to see Israel get demolished after the last 2 years of genocide? I mean, it's so hard to resist that. It's a very natural impulse. It's called justice. You want justice. And
Yes.
no one else is delivering justice to the Palestinians or to the Lebanese or to the Syrians or to the Yemenis. No one else is delivering justice except Iran. Iran has the capacity to do it. So it's a very normal, natural thing to want to see justice delivered, even though I have no doubt that you would agree with me on this. We would much rather see, Western governments wake up tomorrow and find that they have a conscience and say,
Yes.
we're gonna sanction the shit out of Israel today and demand all weapons are cut off. We're going to destroy their economy if they don't stop this genocide now. That would be infinitely preferable, but it doesn't appear that that's going to happen anytime soon. What's the next best option? It's Iran.
Yeah.
Justice.
It just feels weird. That's all. It just feels weird saying it. I hate admitting. I hate admitting it because, again, it's the way they fight wars. They're very different. Like Israel is like, we're going to go for decapitation strikes and try to murder as many people as we can possibly murder. And Iran is like, we're going to hit military sites. It's like, okay, well, I get it. I don't want to say it's unsatisfying because that makes me bloodthirsty, but it's kind of unsatisfying. Like one side is trying to mass murder. They're trying, we want a decapitation strike to take out the political entity in order to turn it into Syria or turn it into Libya. And it's like, okay, well, they were selling slaves in Libya, one of the most prosperous countries in Africa, turned around into a complete basket case. And in Syria, they're murdering ethnic minorities. And that's what you're trying to do. That's your objective to do. So yeah, I kind of do want you to take an L, and I want you to take it very badly. It feels, I don't know. Feels
well,
bad.
yeah, you see so-called civilians, destroying humanitarian aid on trucks that are at the border of Gaza with the express intention of stopping starving children from being fed. It's hard to have sympathy for those civilians. It's very, very hard. Yeah.
It's that, I hate saying that. God, man, I hate saying that, but it's true. It's true. Because I don't feel like any of them are civilians. Like this is not Gaza where you're talking about women and children, and obviously the women and children aren't Hamas. This is like 80% of the population saying we agree with what's taking place in regards to the starvation and the decimation of another population of people, many of which are children, the majority of which are children. That's different. That doesn't, it feels like Nazi Germany, where most of those people are Nazis. Most of those people agree. Most of those people are involved, even though they may act like they don't know about the camps. They knew about the camps. It feels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just, I don't know, man. And to be part of the United States where we are the main proponent in regards to paying for it, are we also culpable for it? Like, meaning, are we in Western governments who are effectively supporting Israel to the hilt, giving them money, giving them political support, everything else? Are we also culpable for what they do? Yes, kind of. Our tax dollars go to it.
If you live in the West, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again till blue in the face. I don't give a damn. People don't like hearing this. If you live in the West and you're not lifting a finger to put a stop to this genocide, you have the blood of Palestinian children on your hands, because your governments are doing this. They're doing this with your tax dollars. They're doing this in your name. You voted these psychopaths into power. You allowed them to take power. You volunteered for their campaigns. Not everybody, but in Canada, I have to get this off my chest, Jamal. We just had an election. 85% of the people who voted for the Liberals or the Conservatives, both of which have been supporting this genocidal entity for decades. Okay, so I'm outraged. I'm outraged that 85% of my countrymen, of my countrywomen, voted for these people who are pro-genocide. Okay, you have the blood of Palestinian children on your hands. It's not just them, and it's time for you to get off your ass and start doing something to put an end to this horror.
Why did they do that? Like, I know why they do it in the US, but I don't know the Canadian political, what time is it? And I'll let you go after this. I'm just curious. We have a bicameral, well, it's not bicameral, that's not the right word to put it. In the United States, there's this thing of legitimacy, or it depends on if you're Democrat or Republican. And honestly, it depends on if you're white or black. In the States, if you're black, there's this thing that's always at play in our politics of who keeps the monsters at bay. The monsters being the people in the other parties, because the Republican Party were Southern Strategy Party, effectively putting in racist blacks. Remember that, almost like in our DNA. And so the people we tend to vote for tends to be on the Democratic side, and it tends to be candidates who are considered legitimate in a way that can beat the Republican. So Hillary Clinton was getting the black vote up until the point where Obama became, quote unquote, legitimate, in which case Obama was able to win and get the vote. I don't know how it works in Canada, though. What's the dynamic in Canada where they would, because I thought you guys were more likely to vote Green Party, vote
Well,
for
we have what's called the first past the post system, which means that votes are not distributed proportionately to the popular, seats aren't distributed proportionally to the popular vote. You know, in any given, what we call riding, you call them congressional districts, whoever has the most votes gets in, and the rest of the votes basically mean nothing. Okay, so that's the way it works. So even though we have that system, we still manage to get significant numbers of people in Canada's parliament who don't come from the uniparty. In Canada, the uniparty, you know, US it's Democrats, Republicans. In Canada, it's Liberals, Conservatives. So we have, you know, a party called the New Democratic Party, which actually in recent months has been reasonably good on Palestine. The Green Party has been reasonably good on Palestine. Then there's another party centered in Quebec, the Bloc Québécois, which has been, you know, at least not as bad as the Liberals or the Conservatives on Palestine. So, and there are a whole bunch of other parties too out there who, you know, don't win seats, but they have a legitimate political party, and their name is on the ballot in a number of districts. So Canadians have other options. They really do. And, you know, and so there's really no excuse for 85% of the public voting for Liberals and Conservatives when they're committing a genocide. They're aiding and abetting a genocide. And that's just one of the monstrosities. These two parties are also, you know, fanatically committed to escalating the Ukraine war, which is an existential threat to humanity. And I could go on and on. I mean, you know, we have options in Canada. Ultimately, you know, people vote for these two parties for one of three reasons. One, they agree with them. And unfortunately, there is a significant percentage of the Canadian population, it's a minority, but it's significant, that agrees with their politics. The second is Canadians say, and I'm sure this is true of all countries in the West to some degree, they say, well, that's I care about that issue, but I care about other issues more. Mm-hmm. All right. And the third reason is they're brainwashed. But in this, you know, media environment in which we live, where the truth is out there, I mean, everybody can see what is happening, you know, in real time to the people of Gaza. We can see in real time what is happening in Ukraine. The information is available to us. You know, being propagandized is no longer an excuse.
Dimitri, man, I always appreciate you, man. Thank you for this. I really do. Dimitri Lascaris, he's a lawyer, journalist, and activist from Montreal, Quebec. In 2020, Dimitri ran for the Green Party leadership of Canada, and he is host to Reason to Resist. Check him out. He has a damn good show on YouTube. By the way, what time does your show come on? I usually catch reruns.
Usually we do like one live stream a week normally, and we publish about 3 or 4 reports at 11 a.m. Eastern time during the week.
Okay. Dimitri, thank you for this, man. I really do appreciate it. I always appreciate these conversations. I really do.
Thank you. Take care, Jamal.
You be safe. Bye-bye. All right. Shout out to Dimitri. Deeply appreciate him for joining me. Always appreciate those conversations. He is a really great